All right, let's get into it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what I like to call the engine room of any business, production and operations management. It's this amazing, kind of hidden process that takes raw ideas and basic stuff and turns them into the products and services that, well, literally shape our world.
I mean, have you ever just stopped and really thought about how everything around you gets made? Seriously, from that super complex smartphone in your pocket to this simple, perfect cup of coffee you had this morning. Behind every single one, there's this fascinating system of production and operations making it all happen.
And that system, well, it's the absolute beating heart of all economic activity. It's not just some department tucked away in a company. It's the fundamental process that actually creates wealth and, makes sure we all get the things we need. So what is it exactly? Well, at its core, production and operations management is basically the art and science of turning inputs, think raw materials, labor, all that good stuff, into finished goods or services that have real value. And there are always two main goals, right? You've got to make the customers happy, and you've got to hit the company's targets. It's a balancing act, for sure. And this is the part that I really want you to remember. Operations is the function that creates the value. Sure, marketing might describe the value, and finance definitely counts the value, but operations, that's where the value is actually built. So you can think of this whole thing as a journey. The product's journey. It follows this clear, logical path from a pile of raw inputs all the way to the finished product that lands in the customer's hands. And this little diagram, it illustrates that journey perfectly. You've got your inputs over on one side, your outputs on the other, and that crucial transformation process happening right in the middle. But look closer. See that feedback loop? That's the secret sauce. Information from the output, like are customers happy, did something break, is constantly flowing back to improve both the inputs and the process itself. So let's break down each of these stages.
First up, the inputs. These are your fundamental building blocks. We're talking about land, which is really all natural resources. Then you have labor. That's the human effort and skill. And of course, capital. The money, the machinery, the buildings. But the real game changer in the modern world is that last one, information. I mean, data has become one of the most precious inputs of all.
Okay, next up is the transformation stage. This is where the magic happens. And transformation can mean a whole lot of different things. It could be physical assembly, like putting a car together. It could be analysis, like a doctor figuring out what's wrong with a patient. It could even be something as straightforward as storing something safely or just moving it from point A to point B. This is the step where value gets added. And finally, boom, we have our outputs. This is the end of the line, the final result of the whole process. It's what the customer actually pays for. It's either going to be a tangible good, like a book, or an intangible service, like a haircut. Now, of course, a system this complex doesn't just run itself. Not a chance. It needs constant steering, constant guidance. And that brings us to the really big, crucial decisions that every single operations manager has to wrestle with to keep the ship moving forward. And wow, these decisions are absolutely massive. Just think about location for a second. Is it better to be close to your raw materials to slash those transport costs, or do you get closer to your customers so you can deliver faster? And what about the internal layout? A poorly designed factory floor can create these insane bottlenecks that can literally cost a company millions. Seriously, every single one of these points, from designing the product to checking its quality, is a whole universe of its own. Now, a minute ago, I mentioned that outputs can be either goods or services. This is a really, really critical distinction because managing the production of a physical thing is fundamentally different from delivering an experience or a service. And this table just nails the core differences. Goods are tangible, you can touch them, you can store them in a warehouse. But services, they're intangible and they're perishable. You can't put a haircut or a rock concert in a box and save it for later. This totally changes the game. Customer interaction is usually pretty low for manufacturing goods, but for a service, it's super high. And that affects everything, especially location. A car factory can be built almost anywhere, but a hospital, it has to be right where the patients are. So, with all these moving parts and tricky decisions, how do you even know if you're doing a good job? Well, success is measured with two key ideas: productivity and efficiency. Productivity, when you boil it all down, is just a way to measure how well a company uses its resources, all those inputs, to crank out its outputs. It's really all about getting the most bang for your buck. And the formula couldn't be simpler, which is kind of beautiful, right?
Productivity is just your outputs divided by your inputs. That's it. The entire goal of every operations manager on the planet is to make that number go up and up and up. Now, productivity is tied really closely to two other important ideas: effectiveness and efficiency. Think of it like this. Effectiveness is all about doing the right things. Like, are you actually making a product that customers want to buy? Efficiency, on the other hand, is about doing things right, using the least amount of time, money, and materials possible. See the difference? You can be super efficient at making something nobody wants. Real productivity? That magic happens when you nail both. So where is this all going? Because this field is absolutely not standing still. The future of production and operations is being reshaped by some incredibly powerful trends, and it's happening right now. I mean, the future is just this massive convergence of game-changing trends. You've got this intense focus on total quality, which means you build quality into every single step. You don't just inspect for mistakes at the very end. Globalization is connecting supply chains across the entire planet. E-commerce is completely changing how we get products to customers. And of course, the absolute explosion in technology. We're talking about AI not just building things, but predicting when a machine is going to fail before it actually breaks, saving companies millions in downtime. It's incredible. All of this stuff leads to one critical conclusion, and this quote just says it perfectly. In today's world, the foundation of an organization's success is its speed of response to change. It's not enough to be good anymore. It's not even enough to be cheap. You have to be fast. You have to be agile. And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. As you think about everything we've talked about, that simple input, transformation, output model, the obsession with productivity, the need to be agile, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. How can you take these exact same ideas and use them in your own world? Whether it's your next big idea, a new startup, or even the company you're at right now, how can you use these principles to really, truly leave the competition in the dust?